Man Eater 38 channel. Welcome to the channel. Charlie Kirk. Very unfortunate circumstance. Charlie Kirk, rest in peace to him. And my condolences to his wife and children, I didn't agree with most of what Charlie Kirk's characterizations of my community were. And I just feel like Charlie Kirk, when he was alive, he wasn't challenged by our best and our brightest. You saw them, they're like beta males. They were wanting to be, accepted on both sides. So their performance was lackluster. You have to go up there, you take the risk, you ask the questions, and you be daring. And that's one thing I will say about him is that he left the door open for anybody who didn't believe in what he was about to have a debate with him. So, you know, most of our best we see on YouTube and, on various platforms. I think the time to convey your grievances with him would have been then. And to just like purchase that ticket, go in there and give it to him straight. And I think it would have garnered a lot of attention for yourselves in a positive way. And there would have been clips of at least alpha males debating Charlie Kirk and, really giving him some substance to go back and forth with, because the guys that came up there representing us, they were you know just not really good. Just not really good at representing us. The disrespect towards his death, I didn't get because, yeah, I thought that we were being quiet. I thought we were kind of just like sitting back and just watching and, observing the whole situation of what was going on with as far as migration and the National Guard coming in and cleaning up the communities, which we all will benefit from. And just like kind of watching what's going on. And I was very astonished at the amount of people who came out on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, just like saying the worst, saying the worst. And I just didn't understand that. I didn't understand that. I don't understand how somebody can be so outraged with the words of a Charlie Kirk, because there are many like him, how you can be so outraged by his words. And I'm not encouraging anybody to do anything or anybody's death, but George Zimmerman is alive and well. I saw somebody posting a picture of him, and I just, I'm like, why are you posting a picture of him? There's other things that might have would have been done. But I mean, that's who the outrage should be with. It should be with George Zimmerman, because he is the one who took this man's life. Now I can understand debating someone on the facts of his murder and the facts of his case, because clearly Mr. Kirk didn't have all the facts. He himself mentioned that he was rusty and it was 10 years ago. And, as far as he was concerned, it was a settled case. But I know the facts of the case. I watched the whole case from beginning to the end. And he was wrong about a lot of things. But I didn't let him trigger me as an individual. He is one of many who have made various statements about our community, the black on black violence and the black gang violence, which is a minute sector of our community. It's always within the inner cities where you see it the most, and it's always a small cluster. And that's something that I also didn't appreciate from Mr. Kirk, that he would generalize the black community. There are a lot of split homes, which don't get mentioned. Sometimes the father may not be in the home. He is outside of the home, but he is still very much involved in his child's life. And I think the 70% of women raising children in the homes should be revisited, because during the 90s, you had a lot of teen pregnancies. And I think we are on the tail end of that. Like, a lot of those kids are my age. I'm going to be 49. I'm very happy to be 49. And yeah, that ended around with the millennials. I think the millennials were taught more to be more responsible and to even if you aren't going to be with that person, to still have a strong presence in your child's life. So I think we're seeing a lot of splitness, maybe not marriages, but maybe split homes, and maybe some unmarried people who are like, shacking up or whatever, but still the father is in the home. So we don't want to discredit those fathers who are there doing that. So I think that should be revisited. But I didn't hate the guy. I hear a lot of animosity towards him. I really don't hate. I can't have all this vitriol for somebody with words when my community voted for Joe Biden at 90%, a person whose actions caused a great deal of harm to devastate our community, you know. And we even have people to this day who will support Hillary Clinton, who was also a facilitator in that. Okay. So, the people who actually do something to us, it's like when we get harmed, those people don't, suffer any consequences. But we are very often triggered by people's words and opinions of our community versus the people who actually do things to bring a harm to our community, which those are the people who really need to be dealt with. Because I suspect if you dealt with it on that, from my perspective, you will get less of the rhetoric of people saying things if you just dealt with things, the people who cause harm to the community, you know. And it's just funny to me. Like Charlie Kirk, I watch his videos and I see how he would kind of like get into character almost or whatever, or how he would size up the opponent. The black guy comes up, I see him like looking side to side, like looking at the guy like, oh, he probably ain't gonna say anything too much, nothing that I can't deal with or whatever. So I saw the character in him as well. And some of his viewpoints were funny or whatever. And like I said, most of the stuff that he said about my community, I disagree with. There is violence in the community that we definitely need to be the most critical of. More, we need to be the loudest voices when there's violence committed in our communities towards us. But anybody who is going to deliberately defy the stigma of slavery and its capability to afford even these foreigners that come to America to feel as if though they can provoke these racial circumstances and instances that we get into, whether it be verbal or whether it be physical or not. Like in New York, you will have like Africans or Arabs, if you get into a confrontation with them, they will say slave. You slave, you slave. They'll say that Africans or Arabs, they will, refer to us as being a slave, in a disagreement. And why? What allows foreigners to equate everything that my American ancestry is to slavery? And when these type of situations occur, and they present themselves publicly, like, why doesn't the government express dissent towards the foreigners when they do this stuff, publicly? Why isn't there like real public dissent? Like, hey, there are a protected group of people, and they're to be dealt with in this manner. Those were things that I would have like posed to Mr. Kirk, Mr. Charlie Kirk, rest in peace, and the reparation stance. Like he said that nobody should be getting should be benefiting from their ancestral trauma or whatever. But then we have Jewish society, they have their own communities and their own schools, and I'm not against that. I'm not knocking them from having that. From what they experienced was very traumatic, and so they have these things. And so to say that nobody's ever been compensated, we have the Japanese who, were in prison, just, uncomfortable for a little while. They were uncomfortable on the camp for a little while, and they were compensated for that. So there's no comparison even to that, to what we went through as far as the Japanese, I believe it was, went through here or whatever. There's no comparison or whatever. And then the stigma of it, because we still live it today where people feel like they can call you that. Like I just gave you the example, people will refer to us as that today. And the reason they do that is due to the stigma of slavery. And so we are mistreated and we are viewed as being, the lowest of society, and oh, your people didn't do nothing, oh, you didn't create anything, which is not true. Now today, we are not producing the way our ancestors did. And I would like us to get back to that. That's why I would like reparations to be granted to the community, because I believe that we will get back to what we were originally doing. It's hard to, get things started manufacturing wise when you don't really have the capital investment. And I think that a lot of the community misses that point. I think Mr. Kirk, missed that. And I wish somebody would have challenged him more on, things that I'm saying, versus just being angry over the words that he said or whatever in the past. The backlash came from the videos, And like I just hope that we both learn, because truthfully, I have fatigue of white and black people. I'm just like, at a time like this, we are dealing with um, extraordinary circumstances. We have Russia, China, South Korea. Oh wait, no, is it North Korea or South Korea? North Korea, I believe it is, that have all teamed up. We have BRICS. We have India, who is jumping in and out. They don't know whose side they want to be on. And so, we are experiencing challenging times. We don't know, if we're going to be called upon, if the draft is going to come out. We don't know what's going to happen. Are people plotting against us right now? So the selfishness of white and black people is annoying, to say the least. It's very annoying to be so selfish that, and so self-centered, that in a time like this we want to focus on a black and white fight, and who can insult who the most, and who's coming back to put black people in their place, and how insulting can we as American Negroes be to white people, and say this and that in a time like this. It's like, can't you just put up your peace flag in a time like this? Even with, the death of Charlie Kirk. Can both sides just say, you know what, let's just try to pull back, on our rhetoric on both sides? Because we have so many things going on in our country. It's very dangerous in our country. This is the first time it's been this dangerous like this since the Civil War in our country. It's very dangerous here in America. I guess depending upon where you are, unless you're just delusional and you're not paying attention to what's going on around. You have people running up in federal buildings. You have people shooting it out. You have people shooting police officers. You have people just attacking random people. There's a lot going on. And to be so superficial, to sit down and, oh, the black people, clean your community up and stop doing this. And, for us to be, oh, well, I don't give a damn about who gets killed and or whatever like that. That was terrible for that young Ukrainian lady to get killed like that. I don't care if she was white or what color she was or what color he was. It didn't matter what the ethnic group was. The murder was traumatic to look at. And it was horrible for that woman to have to lose her life like that. And nobody helped her. It's crazy how, like, people could just see things and everybody just, nobody wants to step up to help anybody anymore. We used to step up to help each other when we seen somebody. It didn't matter what race anybody was. It was the fact that you saw something wrong. So you would step up and do something. And so, people just aren't living in that world anymore. And I don't know, what happens with us. I don't know what happens with us at all. But, like I said, I didn't hate the guy or whatever. I just disagreed, with some of his talking points or whatever, his perspective or whatever. But I don't wish him any his family rather, because they're the ones who have to live on or whatever. But I don't wish them any ill will. And hopefully the content stops. Like, if you don't have anything positive to say, just don't say anything at all. And I want white people to stop with their stuff, and I want black people to stop too with the white supremacy every 5 minutes, and the white side with the gang violence and black on black crime every 5 minutes. Because we need to get to solutions of how we can at least be cordial with each other in this country and understand, like George Washington. Yes, I'm quoting a president who owned slaves. Okay, because the man said some diabolical shit. He said some very important things that we need to pay attention to today, and that's that people would that we needed to be more mindful of our country and what we had, what we were building, the experiment of America, and protecting it and getting along with each other a lot better, regardless to hue, color. Getting over that part, because we have something to protect here. And as you can see, everybody wants to come and grab a piece. Everybody wants to dictate how it should be ran. And he was the first president of the United States of America, and he saw it then. So that's why I'm quoting him. Okay, and we need to do that. We need to put our country first. Look at Europe. Look at what's going on over there. We need to put our country first. You can get back to insulting each other and doing whatever you do, but right now, that's not important. It's not important to insult each other and say terrible things about each other. The time now is to find unity in country, if anything else, because everybody is at our throats and people are looking to overthrow us. They're trying to every day overthrow our dollar, and that's going to affect our everyday lives. Okay, we need to be thinking about how we can respond back, how we can help our government. Are there certain products and things that maybe we shouldn't be buying, to further, mess them up the same way they're trying to jack us up or whatever. So that's just my stance on Charlie Kirk's situation and what we are going through as black and white people, and my fatigue and my frustration with the situation. And, hopefully we get answers to everything. His family gets the answers that they need, and us as black people, we get the answers, and we learn not to be so triggered by people's words and their delusion. Some people, they say things out of delusion, and they say things because maybe they really believe it. And if you know the truth, you shouldn't be so triggered when you know the truth. It's like, okay, well, let me just rebut it, put the correct information out, and you don't have to be triggered and angered, by things that people say so much. It's the things that people do. When people write legislation to mass incarcerate you, okay, that's when you should be showing your anger. That's when you should express your true anger with. You don't support them with a vote. Now, what President Trump is doing right now, cleaning up the streets, we should thank him because this is not the 90s. This is not the CIA and Contra putting crack on the streets and then coming back later saying, yeah, we're going to lock you up for something that, we helped you kind of get out there. This is not that. You have people being murdered. And it's fortunate that a lot of young people are involved in it. I pray for them that they can get themselves together and get out of this violent, lifestyle that they're living in or whatever it is that's motivating them to do this. I pray that we can have peace in our community so that we can build and have strength, and we don't have to be worried about our babies and what kind of future they're going to have amongst each other because a lot of us are not safe amongst each other. And we definitely need to do that. And it's not a white talking point. That is somebody who lives in the hood who has seen that at times we are not safe with each other. And it's a sad thing. It should never be like that between us. We should all have the understanding that we all are going to go through, the struggle, and we all need to be together. There are strength in numbers. Okay, and we have to address the fallacies in our community and address people, and we have to shame those people when they do terrible things to other people in the community. We have to put them on blast, and that would only help us. That would only help us. And it's not going to say like we're not doing this for the acceptance of white people. We're doing this so that we can live better. It has cleaning up our community and fixing our community has nothing to do with white people. That's so we can live better. And so we can trust each other and do more, things together. We all know it's true. We just don't like to hear white people say it. We don't like to hear them say it because we think they're hypocritical because they have problems in their own community. You know, I get it. I don't like the talking points, but we do have problems that we need to address. So I'm Manny the 38.